Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Docu Sweeties.
We are two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, honey, which, listen, can be honey, can be molasses, can be maple, can be caramel or caramel or butterscotch. But at the end of the day, hopefully mildly, even sweeter. Salted.
Hi.
So salted caramel, my personal fave. Hi! Yeah, here we are, just knee deep in this horrible atrocious docu-series between, God bless, crazy people and victims, and we, and everyone's kind of meshed together in a horrible pit. Wah, hi.
So this is The Curious Case of Natalie Grace, season 1, episode 4, Victim or Villain. And so where we left off last episode, their lease hadn't been renewed, and they've now decided to move Natalie to a area that is out of the same district or county as the previous DCS worker, and now is in another one. So even if someone does call the police on them, there will be no record of Natalie Grace Barnett in their system.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved to this place called Lafayette. So Lafayette, Indiana. And so we hear a phone call with this man eating a sandwich. He's okay, Chris, you daddy. Hey, Detective Davenport. This is Michael Barnett. So a friend just told me that I'm under arrest.
Mm-hmm.
Am I supposed to turn myself in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry if you're up close because I'm not good at like making noises on this mic, honey. I'm all over the place. But yeah, that man won't let anything stop him from that deli sandwich in his mouth, honey. I mean, he does not give one F, and he does not like himself a Michael Barnett. And he's not going to let Michael Barnett's like dramatic, like, oh, I just read an article that I am going to be accused of something. He's like, yeah, dude, yeah, come on. Just enough of it, yes. Is it a sandwich? Is it a burrito? Is it a donut? What do you think? I mean, is it a kale salad? What is it?
I thought it was a sandwich. It definitely had a pickle in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was good. It was a good sandwich. I felt like it was delicious.
How about the pickle that Mike finds himself in? Ha ha! Mike, why am I so? We're so close.
So, anyways, yeah. So they drop her off, and meanwhile, we're getting this neighbor. This neighbor's name is McKenna, and McKenna has 10 cats, 2 dogs, and 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And when she said that, I was grossed out. I'm just gonna say I was grossed out. 10 cats? What does that house smell like?
A lot of cats, so dogs will piss. I mean, I'm talking about
yeah, so much. So McKenna's, she hates the Barnetts, and she's just like, that little girl deserved love. They put her on a 2-story building. So Michael is now telling the story from 2019 about how and where they got Natalia. Chris, do you mind if I do a reenactment?
Oh, I want you to. Oh,
it's a nice place in town, 2 blocks from the bus, local grocery store, Salvation Army, anything anybody could ever want. And her and Christine went up there and they signed the lease. Her and Christine, my wife. So that's my Michael impression. You're welcome.
Yeah, the popping. He's maniacal. I mean, he's not right.
He is not right. So the family ends up moving to Canada because Jacob is going to some shishi school. And they put her in this apartment. And apparently, Christine told Michael that it was a white trash place and nobody would care about her. And it was on the 2nd floor. And there was a lot of things, including the fact that the electricity hadn't been paid in the first 3 days that she was there. Just a lot of stuff going on in this place. And we've got some text messages between Michael and Christine about the situation. And the neighbor says it doesn't matter how old Natalie Grace was that she absolutely needed help. So the text messages are, you never gave, Michael says, you never gave me you never gave me the electricity info. She hasn't had lights in 3 days. Stop trying to control how she interacts with others. It doesn't work. Chris, you read Christine. Oh, Chris.
Give her. I just shut up. I know. At one point, he calls her Chris, and I was like, "I'll kill you." But at least it has a K, like Kris Jenner. But anyway, yes, I know.
Oh my God, you guys! I just realized that there are two Christines that in this room right now. Okay, there's Christine Barnett, and there is Christine Farah. I forget. Forget it. Who is Christine? Christine is a very particular and specific side of Chris's personality. Oh my God, Christine. Okay, anyways, that just hit on me. So I'll start as Michael again, and you pick up as Christine. Okay, Christine. You never gave me the electricity info, so she hasn't had lights in 3 days. Stop trying to control how she interacts with others. It doesn't work.
Give her food card and wipe out her contacts so she doesn't go to Hamilton County and ABS and call everyone. Jesus.
I'll wipe contacts, but if you think she doesn't have those numbers memorized, you're crazy.
I'll call an appointment tomorrow.
I'll sit inside with a shotgun.
Christine just doesn't give an F any times. Like, I am so, I mean, you know, she, especially coming up, like the amount of which we see her and don't see her in this docuseries is crazy.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, like we also see a very hard scene. It was a very hard scene for me to watch, which is then we get this other guy, this another neighbor. Okay, like the last two, all these is a barrage of crazy neighbors. This entire docuseries, like, won't you be my no, like, do not be. I mean, a neighbor of me nor Natalie Grace, like none of these people. But this guy, my love, is shirtless, and something is wrong with his belly button in such a way that it is too hard for me to deal with. And I feel bad. And when I first saw it, I was like, what is there a tumor? Is there a baby coming? What could be happening with that man? Why am I looking at it? Like, how am I looking at it? Like, and he says all the things that we know, like that he's been in problems, he's had problems, that he's been in jail. Check. But this thing, she then tells me that it is a hernia. And I did never know what a hernia, like I thought, okay, there's different hernias. There's gotta be different hernias in this world. And some hernias are just like inside you and you don't see shit. And I like that kind of hernia. I want to see shit, you know, like this is just there's a lot of strains of different kinds of things. Like, you know how there's like 2 HPVs, none of them is good, but like one of them is like, you know, I don't want to see, I don't want to, whatever, God bless, I don't want to say it. I just, help me out of this. I hate what happened, what God did to that man. I hate what God did to that man, but I also can't believe I bore witness to it. Wow.
Okay. Okay. 1, I wrote in the notes, topless Lafayette neighbor. And if I hadn't rewatched the episode, I would not have known what I was talking about. And he's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I keep an eye out for what's going on. I've seen her, you know, going here and there, and I thought, something's up with that. And you know, I messed up in life. You know, it got me I had a sexual offense. I had a sex charge, you know. I messed up, but I'm saying, you know, because of that, I'm observant. Because of prison, I'm observant. And she, you know, I could tell she was a little kid. And I was like, whoa, I gotta stay away from that. Sex offender. And we are like, did this crew really take the testimony of a child molester? You're on mute, Chris. You're on mute. I mean, it was, Chris. It was. Oof, Yeah. So, anyways, how the family knew is. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I have a treat for you because I was looking at Christine, over and over again, and I was like, who does she look like? What does she look like? And she reminds me of another pale face monster that we covered on this docu-series. And so I made this because I'm the Van Gogh of face doppelgangers. And here you go. Is she not? Isn't Christine Barnett truly like an Alec Murdoch like with a wig? And I think the answer is yes. They couldn't have whiter faces, sharper features, and dead blue eyes. Well,
Wow.
look at that. Well, look up
This
close.
is so funny. You should just take out her face and put his face on top of it.
Look at if
Yeah,
I give him the
yeah. No, I mean they do look alike. There's the same like coldness in the eyes that is really interesting. Good, that was a good one, Chris.
Thank you so much. Sorry. So the whole time of me putting my mute was like, I gotta get this in. So yeah, I'm sorry. I also wanted a sharp change from the last thing I had said. So, she basically, one of the things is that she was going to go to school or whatever. So the school, this is Michael's thing. Michael says that in Canada, honey, the school calls them and it's like, Natalie has not been coming to classes. So they have to like call Natalie and be like, why aren't you going to your GED classes? And but they can't find her. So it's like a worried thing. And then, so of course, the first lady we had met was named McKenna. And now we hear about Cynthia Mann. So basically, Cynthia Mann and has taken on the lowly victim-y Natalie and like under her wing, and Natalie gets a phone call from Christine while she's with Cynthia, and Cynthia's like, oh, that shitty adopted mom that you told me all that shit about, put that bitch on speaker. I mean, whatever, I'm taking my liberties, you're welcome though. And she does, and Christine's like, basically going in on her, what's happening, why, where are you, blabbity blue. And Cynthia goes in on her like, how can you treat her this way? How would you put her here? Like, what kind of people are you? And it's like the first time Christine has lost control, which of course Michael, this entire series, this is like Michael's one-man show on like how ultimately he is the victim of Christine. But yeah, sure, it's the curious case of Natalie Grace, but it should be the like victim case of Michael Barnett against Christine. I mean, that's what, but everything is about how horrible Christine is. And truly, this is, one of the other things. Well,
yeah. And then for some reason, they get divorced. It's not clear why they got divorced, but while they're in Canada, they got divorced. It's not clear how long they were in Canada. But like this whole Canada thing, it yielded from Canada, came from Canada. So Michael moves back to Indiana and he is just so distraught because remember, guys, this is where he only has 37 cents in his pocket and a car, and he's lost his marriage and his kids. So we get Detective Davenport, who believes that Christine is a master manipulator based on everything that everyone has told. But at this point, we only have Michael's point of view, and this man loves to perform. I mean, he lives for it. He loves for it. I would say if we were in like the 16th century, he would be a bard and also a pickpocket and a thief. But but that would be his thing, Chris.
Yeah, he is. He gives me the horrible vibes. I don't have to tell you. Like I feel like there's so many times in which on this podcast I say this person gives me vibes or gives me anxiety. Like if I was around them, I would be able to be around them. And it's like because I think about when you watch him, what if you were in the same space as him and had to hear him do this? Would you not run out of the room? I'd be like, he's gonna come and kill me. Like, like I don't know. Also, I'm having somewhat bad reception, I see, which is making me a little, but tell me if it's bad. So basically, yeah, he he, as we know, he is going to be setting himself up for failure, because we hear the first part, the foreshadow of this, and we're jumping back in time. And I know that you say that we don't know why he ends up getting divorced from Christina in Canada. It's got to be things that they can't say about things because of legal reasons, besides the fact that there's like, vague domestic violence, charges from like 2012. But so basically, he admits when he goes back to Indiana, which is ultimately the reason why the conversation in forward time happens, to the detective, that he knew, kind of, and had an inkling, knew that when they kicked her out, when they made her leave the household and got her into the first apartment, that she was 16.
Yeah.
So that's still abandoning a minor. So that's why, there's the rub. Well,
Yeah.
why'd you laugh?
So because I forgot that he had said that. So there's a point in this story now. They're married, they're together. They get divorced, he moves back to Indiana. And now things are slightly different. That's why I want to know when they got divorced, because then his information in 2019 is like, where is that? Is that when they're still married? Or is that no, it's not when they're still married. So it's weird because his story doesn't immediately change once they get divorced. He's still singing her praises in 2019. So he turns himself in. And I mean, this is a great mugshot. If we're gonna be honest, it's a really good mugshot of him. I put,
yes,
or one of us put that it's the best he's ever looked. And then Chris was, and then
I did.
Yeah, great. Then she turns herself in. And then when Christine turns herself in, Michael then turns on Christine. And it's because I think because they're no longer married, his counsel probably says, listen, we can't say that you didn't do something fully. So we're just going to say that she did it and that you were made to do it under her. And he was like, all right, I'm in. So then we hear these stories, and I think they're in the new space now. It's not 2019. He's not in that ugly ass suit in that orange room. And he's in what looks like maybe his home or some quaint little home in Indiana, or definitely in the Midwest. And he's sitting in the living room and he's like, well, do you want a story or do you want a story? Like, basically. And he then talks about how he remembers, coming home to that house in the evening after he got off work was hell. And he said, best case scenario, Christine is on the couch angry and Natalia is in her room. Worst case scenario, that Christine has beat the holy hell out of Natalie. Mm-hmm. So now it's like, not only were they the best parents who just found a monster in their home, he's completely now switched the story, and Christine's the full monster who is like beating Natalie, who's making her hold her nose to the wall, waiting for her to say where she came from and how old she was. And that sometimes, Christine, she would pee on herself because she'd be standing there so long. And, there'd be defecation. And when he would kind of speak out, her response would be, support your wife. Like she, I don't know, made him feel like she should be able to commit crimes because that was his wife. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the worst part of this is that he then is like, the beatings were really intense. Do you want to see them? And then, my God, I watch the worst, like, acting prep of an actor before the worst, like, monologue I've ever seen. I'm just like, if you haven't gone through theater classes, you don't know the pretentiousness of a person putting on airs before a performance that they feel like is going to be important, visceral, grand, whatever it is. It's just this, like we talk, I feel like narcissist is a big buzzword, right? The way that the narcissist actor comes out in an arrogant way, and when you see it is, I don't even know, the funny thing is, I'm not even saying he's an actor, but in this moment, what you see, this kind of thing is like so triggering to me in a way that it's like, oh my God, I can't take it seriously. I can't, I have to watch it through my fingers held up, like a mask, like it's cringy as F. So he then proceeds to pound the grounds like, a Greek tragedy, he's pounding his hands. Of course, afterward, he's pounded them and they're in pain. But he showed how severe and how traumatizing it was, even though it hurt him, because at the end of the day, it was what happened to Natalie and he needed to show it. Like, what? Like, what? Right?
Yeah, it's like when he shows us how vehemently, you know what I'm trying to say.
Vehemently? Yes.
Christine beat Natalia, and we're supposed to just accept that he sat back and watched it happen. Like he went overboard. He went overboard because now we're thinking of him as soon as he showed exactly what it was that happened, which happened. I immediately thought, oh, I am degrading of your masculinity. I'm degrading your masculinity down to 100%, like down to zero. Like there's no way that a grown ass normal human being watches another woman beat up a little person, a child, and not do anything because you were abused too. No.
And not only that, lie not nary 2 years earlier where you said that this Christine, so stricken with lupus, would be able to be knocked asunder by Natalie and trampled on and pulled toward an electric fence, thrown into an electric fence, barbecued like honey, like shish tawuk. I mean, like this man is crazy, and he doesn't even remember that we know. It's like that's why it's so sometimes hard to watch, because I'm like, at least the thing that I can say is it's like he might think that he's pulling the wool over our eyes and he's playing the ultimate victim. All I can say is that, like, obviously not. And so that's what at least gives me comfort, is that he didn't win. But like he actually mildly did, because he was not spoiler alert, go on.
So
I love you.
Michael then at some point calls the police and asks what Natalia said about him, so he can know like what level of lie he needs to tell.
Like, wait, that's so like, isn't that like 3rd grade? Like, wow, what did she say about me? Like, what does she think about me? Did she say that it wasn't me though? Wow.
We can't give you that information right now because
but like, what if she just like, I'm just saying, like, you don't have to like tell me, but like, I'm just saying, what if you actually just could just tell me, like, what if she like thinks it's me, or like, did she say it's Christine, right? Like, she was like, Christine.
Did she tell us that you beat her?
This what I'm literally, like, I'm like, is that what I'm trying, like, asking you, that was like, yeah. Wink once, wink twice, you know what I'm saying?
Did she? Exactly. So then we cut to Jacob, and Jacob mentioned something like, I guess they went to therapy, and he was like, well, if the therapist told my mom to do that, they would lose their license. Ha 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 ha. So we get like one glimpse on the fact that Jacob, because he was still a child, but now as an adult, he was an older child than the rest. And so he can now like recognize the things that he did that probably weren't the best because his mom told him they were okay. And so then Jacob also like hasn't talked to his father in 5 years, so we don't know the timeline of when the divorce happened, when Jacob started talking to his dad. Jacob's been living in NOLA for this whole times, and he, they're trying to probe Jacob, right? They're really trying to get him to give information because he is the weaker link, obviously. And the one thing that struck me as like weird is that they had a popcorn machine in the living room, and Michael has it in the home because that's what one of the good memories from his kid's childhood is them just like making popcorn and then watching a movie. Now, I'm not saying that he's the only person who has a popcorn machine in their home. I mean, I have popcorn in my cabinet. I don't have a machine to make it, but I mean, imagine those who love that like kind of movie theater popcorn, and that's what Michael is.
Yeah, now you can get something called a whirly. I think I went into like a popcorn rabbit hole because I really do like popcorn, of like how to make like the best, most perfect, like, homemade stuff. Anyway, let me say this. It's actually, this scene is very hard to watch because then you really do feel like the docuseries producers are like taking advantage of a very traumatized, autistic adult, fully adult, Jacob, but someone who we can recognize as not being also traumatized, as well as um, obviously autistic. And so the fact that Jacob doesn't want to say something and they so much push him and even follow him and still mic him and everything is what's the word? Upsetting. I don't, you know, you don't like to see it.
I mean, he's 25. He's a functioning person with autism. He's out in the world, I think, to a certain extent. Um and, you know, maybe not at, you know, maybe on the spectrum wise, not, I don't know, you can't really gauge it. Ladani's all over the place, truthfully. Like, he's all over the place. But anyways, so he stops the interview because he gets uncomfortable, and then he accidentally starts to talk to his father before they've taken the mic off him, and so the mic is still hot, and he's talking to his father's upstairs away from producers, and he's like, oh, I didn't tell them about kicking down the stairs, and someone's like, yeah, we weren't going to talk about that. Yeah, I didn't tell them about that. And then he goes, oh shoot, I'm so dumb, I still have my mic on. And Michael goes, oh, don't worry. like basically, like, don't worry, you're fine. Like, they probably took it off, like, you know, he's trying to make him feel good. But basically there's still more about the story that they aren't telling people, that I guess how abusive Christine was and the things that she did to, you know, a child. So we end that episode right there. And if you guys would like to follow us on social media, my dear friend Chris is going to tell you how you can do that.
You can by opening up your cell phones and going to Instagram, typing in @DocuSweeties, and then going into TikTok, doing the same thing, @DocuSweeties, and then going to Twitter and saying @DocuSweeties, and then adding a 1. What?
And if you wanted to, you know, support your girls by joining our Patreon, you could open up your phone and go open up your cell phone. And when you said that, I was like, open up your cell phone. What do they have? A flip phone? Is it a BlackBerry? Do they have a sidekick?
Well, you have to. Okay, you're at open up. You know, like open up the power. Like you're just like, you know, open up the program. You know, you're just like application. Open an app. You have to open up one of the apps. You're opening up an app.
You can open up an app on patreon.com, or you could go to patreon.com and do $10 a month for our exclusive content, being the things that we talk about during the commercial break, as well as a live every first Monday of the month. Also, you get the episodes 24 hours in advance, as well as the episode contains the visuals of what you are listening to. $10 a month, patreon.com/DocuSweeties. Okay, kids, we'll talk to you later. We hope that you enjoy the next episode. Bye.
Bye.